umuyorum ki milletçe vereceğimiz güzel bir cevapla bunlar gerekli olan cezayı alacaklardır.
Hiçbir vatandaşımızın zarar görmesine müsaade edilmeyecek. Kamu düzeninin bozulmasına fırsat verilmeyecektir. Hiçbir ayrım yapılmaksızın tüm vatandaşlarımızın ifade özgürlüğü, mülkiyet hakkı, evrensel temel hak ve hürriyeti Yurtta Sulh Konseyi'nin teminatı altındadır.
Broadcasting to you out of London this hour because our studios at last word in Istanbul had still been taken over by the military, and we were unable to broadcast from that center. That's why we've been coming to you out of London, and we will continue to do so here and keep you up to date on these dramatic developments in Turkey.
Let's gather as a nation in the squares. I believe we will remove this occupation that has taken place within a short time. I'm calling on our people now to come to the arenas, and we will give them the necessary answer.
Ali abi gel, asker silah çekiyor. Gel abi, gel. Gel. Çabuk çekin! Çekin!
O bildiriyi okumak zorunda kaldı. Maalesef yayını kesmekte biraz zor, geç kaldığımız için. Çünkü
bize zarar vermeyeceklerini zor ve kabus dolu saatlerde silahla tehdit ederek bir bildiri okumamı istediler.
Mehmetçiğimiz olarak, Mehmetlerimiz olarak şu anda karşınızda bulunan halka, sizin annelerinize, babalarınıza, kardeşlerinize karşı silah doğrultmanızı asla kabul etmemiz mümkün değil. Bu silahlar size bu millet tarafından verildi.
Darbeyi duyduktan sonra zaten Boğaz Köprüsü'ndeydim. Boğaz Köprüsü kapalıydı. Önümüzde 2 tane araç vardı. Bazı araçtan çıkan insanların burnu kanıyordu. Kolu molu falan kırılmıştı.
Bütün Türkiye vardı. CHP'lisi de, MHP'lisi de, AK Partilisi de, Saadetlisi de, Büyük Birlik Partilisi de, her türlü partide millet vardı. Vatandaş birlik oldu.
Türk milletine yapılmış en büyük ihanettir. Yani bu zamanda, yani bilmiyorum ama böyle bir darbe. Yani bunu yapanların bile, yani bunu tasarlamaları bile çocukça bir şey yani.
İsmim Ali Nuri Türkoğlu. Bu memlekette 24. yılına girmiş bir oyuncuyum.
I am Ali Nuri Türkoğlu. I have been working as an actor for 24 years. I've acted in many cinema and TV films. I've always done my best to support my country, to make it a better country. I woke up to a nightmare that night. We were told that some groups in the military attempted a coup similar to previous coups. We could not stay at home. It was impossible. We went out to the streets to prevent this, to stop those groups. We stood there as human shields.
50 yıl öncesini hatırlatır gibi.
To see those tanks in the front line was very depressing. I said this could not be my country. Gun barrels were pointing at civilians and police trying to protect those civilians. That really hurt my feelings. Not only mine, everyone's. A photo of me went viral on social media. I had a long beard in that photo.
Sebep olan şöyle bir sakal vardı.
Many people accused me of being a member of Daesh. We never hurt anyone. We were rescuing some soldiers to prevent them from being lynched.
I cannot believe my eyes that the Turkish military, young guys holding the guns, which was giving them to save this country, to kill their father, to kill their brother, to kill their mother. I cannot believe that. I don't want to see this picture once more again in my life, because these soldiers are children. They must save this country with this gun. They must not kill their friends, their fathers. This is I cannot accept. If you want to come to democracy, if you want to enter in Ankara parliament, you don't bomb it. You come from the election. This is democracy. I don't believe nobody. They say that we want democracy in Turkey. I don't believe them, because look at Egypt.
To be honest, I don't even know where to begin. It was a very, very long night. It started off with protests. Everyone went different ways. I found myself on the bridge, and what was interesting was the amount of gunfire that was coming there, that drawed everyone to the bridge. You could quite possibly say that the most memorable thing about that was, you know, it wasn't even the gunfire, it wasn't the shelling of the tanks or even the low flybys of the F-16 fighter jets, but the crowd itself. What we endured there were we had snipers firing at us, at the crowd. Police tried to intervene, but every time the police tried to somehow intervene and repel the situation, the rogue military personnel would open fire at the civilians.
Firstly, we didn't believe that, because in this centuries it shouldn't be like that, because we believe democracy, and it's very like old time. Army could coup, and we felt very bad.
Showing his emotion, Turkish Prime Minister Bin Ali Yildirim announces the death toll in the coup attempt has risen and promises to bring plotters to account.
We invited our people, our constituency, the people who have voted for us and the people who were not maybe AK Party voters, but voted for other parties. And it was a very, very interesting, overwhelming experience to see that people from different walks of life, people from different ideologies, people who have voted for different parties were there in order to fight for Turkish democracy.
Continue on our special coverage. Joining me now is TRT World's Soraya Salam. She was outside last night in Istanbul when demonstrators filed the streets near the AK Party headquarters and later near police headquarters. Soraya, you were outside out in the streets. Give us your account on the events.
Yeah, Ali John, it was really incredible. I left my house around 1 a.m. It was just after the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan had called on the people to take to the streets and show their support for democracy against the coup attempt. And as I left my house, I was walking towards the AK Party headquarters. I was in a part of Istanbul called Eyüp, which is where the AK Party headquarters, the ruling party headquarters, is located. And as I was walking, there was chanting, there were people waving flags, men, women, children that were pouring out on the streets. And as we were walking, more people were leaving their houses, just spilling out on the streets. And they were making their way towards a very iconic street called Vatan Street. Now, that's actually where a former prime minister of Turkey had been hanged after the coup in the 1960s. So they were making their way towards that street, and there were rumors of military vehicles there. People had seen pictures of military vehicles on social media. So they were really seeking a confrontation here with the military. And just in the distance, you could hear the call to prayer being chanted out. And it was interesting because it wasn't the normal time for the call to prayer, but people took it as, hey, everyone wake up if you're asleep and heed the calls of the president and come out on the streets. As we got to Vatan Street, huge crowds, and people then found out that there was not a military vehicle there anymore on that area of the street. So I actually saw people gathering into a bus. Bus drivers were just, offer their services for free. Come on the bus, let's go to the airport. So people were really out there to fearlessly show their disapproval of this coup attempt, and they really wanted to get in the faces of the military.
At one point, I understand you passed a military tank that had been taken over by the people. Let's watch a video clip of that in a moment. I'm going to come back to you.
Yeah.
We're on Vatan Street in Istanbul. And there are people on top of a military tank celebrating that they've overtaken this part of Istanbul from the military.
Only police took over.
The police took over.
Explain to our viewers where this was taken and what you went through.
This was later on. So Vatan Street is quite long. So when we got towards the end of the street, suddenly we saw this military vehicle, but there weren't soldiers on top, there were police officers. People were cheering, they were ecstatic, and apparently the people and the police had overtaken that area from the military. And so there was music playing, and just lots of celebration. But at the same time, Ali John, at that point, people were like, let's go onwards. Let's find another place to have a confrontation. I mean, just to show our presence. And that's when they started making their way towards the police headquarters in Istanbul, and we followed them.
One of the catalysts last night on Friday evening was the call by Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan urging people to go out in the streets using social media. Where were you then?
So at that time, when he had made that call, I was at home. I was watching the FaceTime video that we all know now of the president calling for people to come out on the streets. And right after he had made that announcement is when I made my way into the streets. Now, just to go back, after I passed the military vehicle and people were heading towards the police headquarters, that was when I was actually approached by an officer when I got to the police headquarters. So when I got there, the biggest crowd yet, and if you can follow me for a second, you know, we've talked about leaving from this area of Istanbul where the AK Party headquarters are located, going to this iconic street, Baton Street, then going to the police headquarters. And when I got there, people were waiting for a military vehicle that they thought was coming. So I was approached by police because people were actually afraid of what I was doing. There was live streaming on Facebook, actually, of what was happening. So people were a bit suspicious, and I was approached by police. They eventually let me go, but after that, I heard huge cheers, and it was just after it was announced that Recep Tayyip Erdogan was about to land at Atatürk Airport. A few minutes later, we heard an airplane overhead, and people thought this was Erdogan about to land, and just huge cheers. After that, the crowd started to die down a bit as we got word of the coup attempt being more under control. And I would like to say that on my way home, Alican, we did pass a hospital, an emergency room, and people were yelling out, "Be positive, A positive," trying to get blood donors. So that was when I knew that this morning we'd hear about the death toll and the toll that it take. But it was truly a night of power for the Turkish people, and they really sent a message that no matter what party they were from, what their political leanings, they believed in democracy, they believed in the will of the people, and they were not going to take a military coup lying down.
Well, Waqar Kanfar joins me now from London. He's the president of the Al-Sharq Forum. Now, thank you very much for joining us. Now, this is being regarded as a victory for the people. Give us an idea on your take on what role the public played in all this.
The most important role. Actually, I would say that this is a great victory, not only for the democratically elected government of Turkey, it is a great victory for the whole Middle East, because for now we could say that we have the people, the ordinary people across the board, people who support the government and even the opposition, across sectarian divide, across ideological divide, all of them have been unified in rejecting this coup, and also they have succeeded in stopping it and in turning the way against it. In my opinion, without this, without enlightened public, without people who have the courage and the ability to stop such endeavors, I think this region would go into much worse circumstances that we see right now. Turkey without democracy, Turkey without unity and without stability will add to the Middle East a huge burden. We can't even, imagine what kind of region we could have if this coup last night have succeeded.
Citizens from all around Turkey answered my call and took to the streets. Citizens said, if they have tanks and firearms, we have our belief, and stood up to them.
Those who perpetrated this coup attempt should know that they will answer for every drop of the blood they shed. This is our biggest duty towards our people. But we will not act with fury and rage while doing so. We will always act within law. We will be just.
Mete Yara, you're a security analyst. Thank you for talking to us. The coup lasted less than 12 hours. Why do you think it was so unsuccessful?
Darbe 12 saatten az sürdü ama
The coup lasted less than 12 hours, but I think the main elements of this coup are still there, because this group works in a crypto system. When you look at the structuring of this group, you see that those closest to the chief of staff and force commanders were the ones who attempted this coup. Aides and those who had led very important intelligence units have organized this. I'm asking this. Where else in Turkey did these people occupying these important positions put people in other positions? Today we are saying we prevented the coup, but I think only the first attempt has been prevented. There will definitely be other waves. For this reason, Turkey definitely needs to have a security-related decision and prepare against those who will try to do this. I'm telling once more that 12 hours is not over. This is an ongoing process. There is a failed coup attempt, but there is another group ready to try again, waiting in the back.
Ama denemeye hazır olan bir grup hala arkada hazır bekliyor.
Thousands of military personnel have been detained, including high-ranking soldiers. What does this mean for Turkey's military going forward? What kind of restructuring process is now underway?
Evet, bu operasyon hala devam edecek. Şu andaki sayılar bunlar olabilir ama bu...
Yes, this operation will continue. The numbers might change, and we think it might rise to 10,000 to 15,000. We cannot anymore say that these people should stay, and we will have to work together. Trust has been lost. Chief of Military Staff's own top aide were the ones who neutralized him. It was his top aide who pulled his gun and directed at him. Soldiership as a profession depends on mutual trust and friendship. They need to act on the instinct of protecting and acting mutually. Once this trust is lost, those who are not trusted anymore should be dismissed. Yes, difficult times are ahead for Turkey. When Turkey is fighting against PKK and Daesh, it'll have to fight against Gulen. It'll have to fight against Gulen's organization coup attempt. This process is really difficult for all of us. This is a time that we need to overcome by standing shoulder to shoulder, and not just armed forces, but also all Turkish people, all politicians. If Turkey loses this, Europe and US will too. We saw what disorder means in Iraq, Syria and Libya. Compared to Turkey's power and influence, these are small countries. If Turkey is dragged towards any disintegration or civil unrest, believe me, there will be no Europe or no US left.
İnanın, ne Avrupa kalır, ne ABD kalır.
Tehdit bitti mi? Sonra ne olacak? Is the threat over, and what happens next?
Tehdit bitmedi. Çünkü
the threat is not over because the coup was only made with armed forces. There are factors of coups. There must be members in the police forces, intelligence units, media, business world, politics. Before all these factors are revealed, before all their resources are revealed, it is not possible to say it's over. You can detain 3,000 soldiers, but they are only the front and visible fractions of this group. Then who are those who push or encourage them? Who is motivating them? Where are they trained? Before you unearth these people, they will put together another 3,000 in their place. They will try to provoke 3,000 people to revolt, to make sure that this ends. You have to make sure you replace all of these other members in other places as well. That is how you solve this issue.
Tek millet kavramının içinde ne var? Türküyle, Kürdüyle, Lazıyla, Çerkeziyle, Gürcüsüyle, Abazasıyla, Romanıyla, Boşnavıyla, Arnavuduyla velhasıl 79 milyon tek millet. Bölünmek yok. 2. Tek bayrak. Bayrağımızın rengi şehidimizin kanıdır. Hilal bağımsızlığımızın ifadesidir. Yıldız şehidimizin ta kendisidir. Bayrağımızın üstüne bayrak yok. Bayrakları bayrak yapan üstündeki kandır. Toprak eğer uğrunda ölen varsa vatandır. Onun için tek vatan. 780 bin kilometre kareyle tek vatan. Bu vatanı doldurtmayacağız. Bir olacağız. İri olacağız. Biri olacağız. Kardeş olacağız. Hep birlikte Türkiye olacağız. 780 bin kilometre. Evet. Değerli kardeşlerim, bekliyorum. Devlet sistemine evet, asla.